Alright, for this tutorial, you will need your fabric, you'll need some interfacing, coordinating thread, fabric scissors, paper scissors, measuring tape, some sewing pins, a seam ripper, and you'll either need a seam gauge or you can use an index card to do your hem. You'll need a pencil, you'll need a fabric marking tool, and for the pattern pieces, you'll need the pocket pattern, and you can either choose to use McCall's pattern 7355, or if you would like to make your own pattern piece, you'll need some pattern paper. So this here is just freezer paper that I picked up at Walmart, but they also sell it at the grocery store and Target and other places. Or you can use butcher paper, craft paper, whatever paper you can find. And you will also need some rulers. So I'll be using a grid ruler, and also I'll be using my yardstick. Alright, let's go ahead and get started. Find where it says waist, then follow that over to your waist measurement. So for me that's 28 inches. Then follow that all the way up to the top number. So for me, I'm going to cut the size 14. Also, cut out pattern pieces 3 and 4 in your size. If you are making your own skirt, you can follow along with me using the Gathered Maxi Skirt Measurement Guide. Alright, the first thing that we need to do is find our hip measurement. So let's go ahead and measure our hips, and we'll write that on this line. Next, you want to take your measuring tape and you want to find the fullest part of your hips. So then I'm going to go ahead and went ahead and marked a sticker there as well. Okay, so for me that is 41. Alright, so for me that was 41 inches. So now step 2, it says to multiply your hip measurement by 2. So on line 1 I wrote 41, so I'm going to transfer that number down here. 41 times 2 equals 82. So now step 3, it says to add 18 inches if your waist measurement is 24 to 42 inches, or you're adding 27 inches if your waist is 43 inches and up. So for me, my waist measurement is 28 and a half, so that means I lie in between 24 and 42 inches. So I'm going to add 18 inches. So now down here it says line 2. So on line 2 I wrote 82. So I'm going to write 82 plus 18 equals 100. Alright, next, step 4, it says divide line 3 by 36. So on line 3 I wrote 100, so I'm going to now write that 100 down here. 100 divided by 36 equals 0.277. Now down here you'll see that I have a different measurement guide. So in your calculator you might get something close to 0.25. That's close to 1/4 of a yard. You might get 0.5. That's a half a yard. Something close to 0.75 is 3/4 of a yard. So for me, mine is close to 2 3/4 of a yard. But I know when working with Ankara wax prints that they only sell in whole number yards. So 2 and 0.77 is closest to the whole number 3. So I'm using 3 yards of fabric. Alright, let's go ahead and do our skirt measurements. So first thing that you want to do is measure from your natural waist down to where you want your skirt to stop. So from that part, so we want to bend, and then I put a dot for myself marking that point. Then you want to take your measuring tape and you want to measure down how far you want your skirt to go. Now for me, that is 42 inches. So then next, I need to transfer what I wrote on line 1 down here. So 42, I'm going to write that. And then now I'm adding 1.5. And that gives me 43.5. So the length of my skirt needs to be, the length of my skirt panel needs to be 43.5 inches. Now the 1.5 inch is for the waistband and hem allowance. Alright, now let's calculate our width. So we need to measure our hips, and we did that earlier. So you can take whatever you wrote here and now transfer it over. So for me that was 41 inches. And now I'm taking this number on line 2 and writing it down here. Now 41 divided by 2 is 20.5 inches. Alright, and now down here we can now plug in what our skirt panel needs to be. So the length for me is 43.5 inches and my width is 20.5 inches. Now we will use both of these measurements to draw out our pattern piece. Alright, now we need to do our waist to hip measurement. This is going to let us know where our zipper stops. So in order to do that, you need to measure from your natural waist point to your fullest hip point. Alright, next you want to find your waist to hip measurement. You want to, from that dot down to your fullest hip mark. Okay, so for me, that is about 9. Okay, so for me, mine was, it was about 9.5, about 9 inches when I did it off camera. So I'm going to write my waist to hip measurement here, which was 9 inches. Right, now it's time to do our waistband measurements. Now for the first one, I'm going to do for waist measurements 24 through 42 and 43 and up I will do next. So first, go ahead and determine what you would like your desired final width of your waistband to be. Do you want more of a slimmer, about 1.5 inches thick? Do you want medium, 2 inches? Or would you like a wider waistband at 3 inches? Go ahead and select which one you would like. So for me, I want to have a 2-inch waistband. So for my pattern piece, that means it needs to be a width of 5 inches. Now next, let's determine our length. So what you want to do is take your waist measurement and write that on the line. On your waist measurement, you want to bend to the side and you want to find where your natural waistline, where you crease. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and mark that point with a sticker. Then you want to take your measuring tape and right at that sticker, that point, you want to go ahead and measure. So for me that was 28.5, and now I need to add 1.5 inches for seam allowance. So that brings me up to 30 inches. And now here is just a visual of what our pattern piece will look like. So my width is 5 inches and my length is 30 inches. Alright, the next waistband measurements are for waist sizes that are 43 inches and up. So first let's determine the width. So you have to first ask yourself if you would like to have more of a slimmer waistband, being 1.5 inches thick. Would you like a medium size waistband at 2 inches or a wider waistband at 3? I like medium size, so I would like to have a 2-inch waistband. Then you would go ahead and circle the number right below, and this lets you know the width of your waistband pattern piece. This lets you know the width of your waistband pattern piece. Next, it's time to determine the length. So we will be making 2 pattern pieces for our waistband. So first, let's calculate the length of the front waistband piece. So step 1, measure your waist and divide by 2. So I'm writing 50 for my waist, and I'm going to divide that measurement by 2. That's 25. Now step 2, add 1 inch. So it says line 1 here, line 1 here. I'm going to transfer down that 25, and I'm going to add 1 inch. That gives me 26 inches. Now our waistband front, we need to cut one of these, and we will be making this 5 inches, and the length will be 26. Okay, for the second pattern piece for our waistband, we need to, step 1, divide our waist by 4. So my waist, 50 divided by 4 equals 12.5. Now step 2, I need to add 1.5 inches. So on line 2, I need to just rewrite the same number, so 12.5, and I need to add 1.5 inches to that. That brings me up to 14. So now for my second pattern piece, my width is still remaining 5 inches, and now my length is 14, and we will be cutting 2 of these. And then on the last page of the PDF, you'll find some sewing terms. So you'll hear me mention a selvage edge, and you'll find out what that means, and a basting stitch, and different ways to finish your seams you can find on one of my Pinterest boards. But another thing that I'm going to be using are pinking shears. I'll demonstrate how to use these when I sew my pockets. Alright, so to begin my pattern piece, I went ahead and taped 2 pieces of freezer paper together. These 2 pieces measure about 25 inches by 50 inches, and I went ahead and made my pattern piece starting off larger than my dimensions. That way when I get ready to draw my actual measurements, I have enough wiggle room. Alright, so now we need to draw our width line. So for me, that was 20.5 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and take my Sharpie, but you can go ahead and take your pencil and draw your width line. Next, what you want to do is from that stopping point, you want to now draw your length. So for me, that was 43.5 inches. So I'm going to measure down 43.5 inches. I had to readjust my mat so I didn't get any Sharpie on my carpet. Once you're done with your length measurement, you want to go ahead and from that point, draw your width measurement again. So for me, now I'm marking over 20.5 inches. And then you want to close up this pattern piece. So now drawing your length once more so that you have a large rectangle. Now you want to go ahead and cut this out. Alright, so now we need to make some markings on our skirt. So choose a side, and you want to write front, and you want to write cut on fold. And also, when we do our front piece, right here at the top corner, go ahead and make a half circle. Alright, so this half circle is our center front. We need to mark this point for when we attach our waistband. We need to know where our center front is. And then also on the opposite side, go ahead and the measurement that you have for your zipper to stop, you want to go ahead and measure down that amount. So for me, that was 9 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and make a mark. And I know that this is for my zipper. At our zipper mark, go ahead and measure from the outside in. Measure 5/8 of an inch and make a large dot. Now I'm labeling my pattern piece front / back, front, cut 1 on fold, back, cut 2. Alright, on the front pattern piece number 4, go ahead and draw a half circle right at the top corner. So on the edge that says center front fold, right up here in the corner, a half circle. This way when we get ready, you can transfer this half circle, well, you'll transfer this marking to your fabric. This is letting us know the center front. Alright, if you are using the McCall's pattern, you may need to adjust the waist to hip zipper measurement. So when I look at this McCall's pattern, it's about 6 inches. And I know that for me, when I get ready to put this over my hips, it's not going to be nice. So I am going to adjust it to my measurement, my waist to hip measurement, which was 9 inches. So I'm just going to transfer my large dot down so that when I get ready to transfer this marking to my fabric, it's already ready for me to go. Alright, go ahead and lay out your pattern paper and make sure that it is long enough for your waist measurement, a little bit longer than your waist measurement. Now go ahead and take your pencil. I'm going to use my Sharpie so you all can see. And first we're going to measure the width of our waistband. Now I want my waistband to be 2 inches thick, so I'm going to do the 5-inch width. Now my length is going to be 30 inches. So I'm going to measure down 30 inches. Alright, so I'm going to finish drawing my length measurement. And then once I am done drawing my length, then I'm going to draw my width again of 5 inches. And then I will close this up. Go ahead and label this pattern piece as waistband. Alright, so we need to find the halfway point on our waistband. So go ahead and halfway down your waistband, So for me, half of 30 is 15. So I'm going to make a mark at 15. This is the center front that we will meet up with our skirt piece. Alright, so we need to measure, now we need to find the halfway point on both of our sides. So since we have the halfway point for 5 inches would be 2.5 inches. So I'm going to measure down 2.5 inches. And I'm going to make a mark. Also on the other side, I'm going to measure down from the top down 2.5 inches. And I'm going to mark that. Alright, when we get ready to sew our zipper, this is where the starting point when we get ready to attach our zipper. Now go ahead and cut out your waistband. Alright, for the other waistband, we need to make 2 pattern pieces. So what you want to do is I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do the first pattern piece. So my measurements for the second pattern piece were for a waist size 50. So what I would do is first mark down my width of my waistband, which is 5 inches. And then I need to measure over 26 inches. Alright, so I'm going to finish drawing my length measurement, and then once I am done drawing my length, then I'm going to draw my width again of 5 inches, and then I will close this up. Alright, and for your front piece, you need to mark the center front. So what you want to go ahead and do is find the halfway point between this measurement. So for me, this piece measures 26 inches. The halfway point would be 13. So I'm going to measure over to 13. I'm going to make a mark. Okay, this is my center front. And I'm going to label this front waistband. And we need to cut 1. The front waistband piece is done. Now let's make the back waistband pieces. My back waistband piece, I need to measure down 5 inches for the width, and my length needs to be 14 inches. I'm going to measure my width once more of 5 inches on the other side. And now I'm going to close this up. Alright, and I'm going to label this waistband back, and I'm going to write cut 2 because we need 2 of these. And also we need to label one of the sides. Alright, so to label the side of this waistband piece, you want to measure down 2.5 inches. And you want to make a mark. And you can label that center back. This is the center back of our waistband, and we will need this measurement to mark for our zipper. Now go ahead and take your scissors and cut these out. So first what you want to do is lay out your fabric, and you want to have the selvage edge at the top, and you want to have the selvage edge down here at the bottom, and you want to have the right side facing up. And usually you can tell it's the right side because you're able to read the bottom of your fabric from left to right. Alright, so what you want to do is go ahead and now taking the raw edge side of your fabric, you want to fold your fabric in half. So I folded it in half, but you want to make sure that at the end it's just one single layer, and you want to make sure that this single layer measures out to be 1/2 inch, because this whole piece is going to be used for your waistband and your pockets. And then from here over where the fabric is in 2 layers, this will be used for our skirt panels. So skirt panels for the 2-layer side, and then from here over the 1/2 inch, this will be used for our waistband and also our pockets. Alright, so on the fold of your fabric, go ahead and lay out your pattern piece, and where we wrote front cut on fold, go ahead and line that edge up with the fold of your fabric. Now take your pins, and you want to smooth out your pattern piece and right along the folded edges first, go ahead and pin it down. So I already placed one pin here. And I'm going to pin here. I'm going to keep adding additional pins on the outer edges. And then once I'm done pinning this down in place, I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. Alright, so for the front piece, right where we made that half circle and labeled it center front, go ahead and take one of your pins, and you're going to push the pin right through that half circle. Then peel back your pattern piece, and then right where that pin is, go ahead and take your marking tool and make a mark. And on the other side, go ahead and do the same thing, making that half circle mark. That way when we open this up, we'll have our center front marked. Now we're going to cut out the back pieces. So now lay out your pattern piece. And we don't need to cut it out on the fold since it's the back. Now I'm pinning the pattern piece to the fabric again, and I'm pinning along all of the edges, mainly in the corners. And then once I'm done pinning, I'm going to take my fabric scissors and cut this out. Now it's time to transfer our zipper marking to our fabric. Now take a pin and go ahead and push it right through that large dot. And then use your fabric marking tool. So just peel back the pattern piece, and right where that pin is, go ahead and mark a dot. And then also, now flip over all of the fabric, and right where the pin is coming out, also make a dot there. This is going to let us know when to stop for our zipper. Alright, if you are using the McCall's pattern, go ahead and take pattern piece number 4, which is the front piece. And on the side where it says center front on fold, you want to line up this side with the fold of your fabric. Then you would take your sewing pins and begin to pin this in place. Next, you would take pattern piece number 3 and you would lay it right next to pattern piece number 4 and take your sewing pins and begin to pin this in place. Now make sure that pattern piece number 3 does not pass the double layer. Okay. Then you want to take your fabric scissors and go ahead and cut these out. So cutting along the edge of pattern piece number 4, and then you'll cut all along pattern piece number 3. Alright, with that 1/2 inch piece we had left over, go ahead and lay it out flat and make sure you have the selvage edge to selvage edge. Now take your waistband piece and go ahead and line it up and get ready to cut this out. Grab some pins and we're going to pin in all 4 corners. Alright, right where it says center front, go ahead and make a snip there. And right on the side of the waistband where we made that notch, go ahead and make a snip there. And this it's not that deep, it's about 1/4 of an inch. And then also on the other side, make a snip. Alright, go ahead and lay out your fabric with the selvage edge to selvage edge. Now you want to take your pins and you want to go ahead and pin in all 4 corners. And you pin this one down the same exact way. Then you will go ahead and cut around this piece And then right here where it says center front, you want to take your scissors and make a snip. Just about 1/4 of an inch, just about 1/4 of an inch deep, just to mark this point. And then for the center back, you'll pin this down in place and go ahead and cut it out. And you need 2 of these pieces. Right now we're just on a single layer. So you would cut out 1, and then right here where we labeled that center back on the waistband, you would go ahead and make a snip about 1/4 of an inch deep. And then you'll cut this piece out 1 more time, and you will also make a snip to mark the center back piece. Now it's time to cut out our pockets. So with the leftover fabric, go ahead and fold it in half, making sure that the selvage edge to selvage edge, making sure that those the selvage edges are touching. Now we need a total of 4 pockets. So we will cut it out 1 time and then cut it out once more, and we will have 4 pockets. So go ahead and grab your pins and pin this pocket piece in place. Alright, on your pocket pattern, you'll see that there are 2 triangles. Alright, these are the notches that we need to make for our pocket. So right where that marking is, go ahead and make a snip. Remember not to cut too deep when you make your snips. And then also the one down here at the bottom. So now we have 2 pockets. We need 2 more. Go ahead and cut this one out the same exact way.